Uh, Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Regional Prime Time. First of the three-part monthly series, Reputation Today is organizing with Fusion PR, a one-stop solution for communication needs of brands across regional India. The first edition of Regional Prime Time is special because Fusion PR celebrates its 10th anniversary today. Heartiest congratulations to Mukesh Kharbanda, founder and managing director at Fusion PR, and to every member of the firm who has been part of this success story. On the occasion of its 10th anniversary today, Fusion PR is also announcing the ACE Business Communicator Prize along with Reputation Today. Exclusively for in-house communicators, this prize is a chance for young corporate communication professionals who are aged between 30 and 35 as of January 1st, 2020 to win rupees 50,000 in cash and additionally books worth rupees 10,000. For details about the prize, visit bit.ly ABC Prize 2020. That's all caps, bit.ly ABC Prize 2020. A warm welcome to all our panelists today and the 170 plus registered participants who have logged in using Zoom. The hashtag for the session is RT Primetime. Please tweet using the hashtag RT Primetime and don't forget to tag our partner at PR Fusion along with Rep Today Mag. Anytime during the session, if you have a question, please feel free to ask them using the Q&A box and the moderator will try to pick as many as he can in the last 15 minutes of the session. Avoid using the chat box for your questions. I now request the panel moderator, Mukesh Kharbanda, to introduce our panelists and to set the context for this discussion. Over to you, Mukesh.
Thank you so much, Anubhuti. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of Regional Prime Time. Like Anubhuti said, it's a three-part series of panel discussions with corporate leaders where we will try to unfold what future holds for communication beyond metros in the new normal as we make our peace and accept the existence of COVID in our lives. I am very, very excited and happy to host a young panel of communication leaders today with such varied experience. I would want to start by welcoming all four Copcom leaders on the panel today. Vaishnavi from Flipkart, Shivalika from PepsiCo India, Rahul from ShareChat, and Ritvik from Vivo India. Thank you all of you for taking out time to have this conversation around regional communication with us.
Thank you, Mukesh.
Mukesh.
Thank you for
And,
having us here.
and a warm welcome to all the participants who've joined in to witness this communication, this chat. Now, without taking any more screen time, I would want to start the conversation with the most basic question, which is understanding the regional consumer. Do you think, and I will open the floor for anybody to take this up, do you think Indian consumers beyond metros do behave or would behave in a different manner post COVID vis-a-vis a metro consumer? And if yes, what is that one key parameter which will define this change? Would I would rather want to start this with Rahul here, since Rahul, you represent a platform which bleeds regional, if I may say so, extending its offerings in 15 regional languages. Over to you.
Yeah. So this is not only about COVID situation. If you look at the demography and the geography of the country at large, you will discover or you will find out that the way an urban population uh, takes on any communication or takes on uh, their behavior on the internet, if you compare that with the internet behavior that happens in the regional part of the country, which is tier 2 and further, you will see a lot of difference in terms of how they behave on the platform or on the internet platforms. So what comes to you as immature or a novice content is probably not the case for people who are residing in the regional part of the country or a non-metro part of the country. Second is we know that a lot of internet platforms, they talk about uh, the kind of usage that happens on the metros, but the moment they go to non-metro towns and cities, and what we have seen that probably many of those platforms are not, even though that those platforms are actually present on the person's mobile phone, those kind of platform are not being accessed by them, and it's actually lying there as a dump or an idle app over there. So it's very important to keep that conversation going at a regional level, bring the regional community engagement and a regional influencing community who are very powerful in that particular geography, to bring those conversation alive and create an education and awareness that how this particular product or this particular platform can actually relevant for them. While we understand that we all use media as a possible outreach medium, but not every time that works like a magic for you, unless and until somebody goes there, talks to that person in his own language. Probably whatever comes in the media again gets into the subconscious mind of the user or the target audience.
Sure, Rahul, very insightful. Shivalika, would you want to come in here?
Sure. So, considering you were talking about consumer behavior in regional as vis-a-vis metros, I, on the contrary, feel that there's going to be a lot of synergies that we're going to see. We know that, consumer behavior patterns are changing, they're evolving. What's interesting to note is that it's been a tsunami of a change. I mean, brands work day in, day out for months to ensure that preferences change, but they don't. And here with the pandemic, it's, click of a finger. What I do feel that there's going to be definitely a difference in terms of preferences per se, but there are going to be three key things which are going to ensure that there's synergies as well. One, of course, is safety, hygiene. That is something that is going to define consumer behavior, given the fact that's going to be the new yardstick. Be it wherever you're residing, those things are going to be given utmost priority. And I think brands and any products, services need to be speaking the same language to the consumer anywhere. The other thing is more in terms from the digital standpoint. So digital is at an all-time high today. So the fact is, while you used to have your communication rolled out very differently for the consumer in the regional, cities as well as the metros, today the core really needs to be the same because there's access and everybody is out there digital. And lastly, it's something that we believe at PepsiCo India, and which is our three pillars, which is hope, trust, and fun. So the fact that today brands will have to, and the consumer is also looking at brands who are more empathetic, more value driven, and more purpose driven. Trust, because we have to ensure that the conversation that they want, the preferences they will have is only for brands and products and services which are trustable in that sense. And third and more importantly, fun, because there's so much of restriction. People are at home, right? Cinema halls are not there. People want an expression, a platform to express themselves in a fun manner. And I think that is what I feel that, is very similar to a consumer sitting in a metro or beyond. So I see synergies there.
Shivalika, do you think there is a difference between how trust and entertainment is also perceived by a regional consumer vis-a-vis a metro consumer, or do you see any synergy there as well?
Well, I'm going to just give you an example of a very recent campaign that PepsiCo India did. I mean, this was on social distancing. Pepsi, with the fact where we were talking about encouraging people to, use traditional Indian greetings like salam and namaste, and maintain social distancing. Now, this was a purpose-driven campaign, but at the same time, we did it in a very fun way on social media platforms. So the point is, we feel if you've got the right message and you're doing it in a more when I say fun, it can't be frivolous. But if you're doing it in a fun way, people tend to pick that up much more than, in a serious way. So I think that, again, I see synergy in.
Great. Ritvik, your thoughts, please. Ritvik, you are on mute, I guess.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, so I somewhat agree with Shivalika in the fact that both metro and non-metro individuals and consumers are very synced in at least their approach. Well, thanks to the the data packages from Jio, they have kind of leveled the playing field. So although we guys are sitting in Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi NCR, and we kind of only think about this particular bubble and think, okay, what is the Indian non-metro consumer thinking of? To some extent, it is very similar to the metro consumer. The difference would be in the way they consume content. because there have been data reports that a metro consumer would like to prefer long-term content. So therefore, you will have more subscription on Amazon and Netflix of the world, and they like to kind of use that content during their travel, etc. However, the non-metro consumer is very on the go and prefers to consume content which is quick, fast, and easy to share. Therefore, apps, well, I don't want to say, but like apps that were like TikTok, have been really popular in non-metros, and that is one of the reasons why share chat is getting a lot of mileage as well, because it's quick, easy to consume, and with a click of a button, you can share it with your WhatsApp groups as well. Uh, Giving an example, the online consumer, sorry, the non-metro consumer is also going online now. So we at Vivo saw that especially these non-metro markets, there was a huge influx of offline purchases. But with the new COVID situation, these consumers are using the power of online to make offline purchases. And we with our VRS model have enabled that. So there is somewhat a difference, but at the same time, if you look at the larger picture, we are kind of the same.
Sure, Ritvik. Vaishnavi, to you, between two contrasting views, what would you say, and how Flipkart measures a non-metro consumer vis-a-vis a metro consumer?
Sure, Mukesh. Actually, the question is at the crux of what we do at Flipkart, basically. And having brought like the first 100 to 200 million people onto e-commerce, we're constantly focused on the next 200. And every day, the teams that are constantly studying this changing behavior that we're actually talking about. And no doubt, like, Shivalika and Ritvik said, there is going to be a drastic consumer behavior change. We cannot deny that, whether it's in the way they purchase, whether it's in the way they're reading, whether it's in the way they're consuming media for that matter, right? And what this time has actually done is given people a lot of time to retrospect, a lot of time to connect back with their roots, right? We've seen a lot of stories on social and a lot of cases of people going back to cooking meals that they never did, finding out how to use a cooker, stuff like that. They've gone back to their roots. So that automatically shows you there's a behavior change in people wanting to try to connect back to their roots, right? And one very critical part of connecting back to your roots is actually the vernacular media. That today you actually see consumers sitting and wanting to consume media, wanting to consume news beyond the English mediums. They're wanting to rehash their knowledge of their mother tongue. Some are even learning classes, taking up classes to kind of refresh their language skills in that matter, right? So if you see those kind of things, and you cannot deny the fact that the media narrative per se, even if I were to say the whole narrative around vocal for local, automatically in a very subconscious way lands up playing into what you as a consumer behave, right? So today, for example, as a South Indian, I might actually want to pick up a Dinatandi and just be a little bit more curious because I also have the time now to kind of figure out what's going on there vis-a-vis the Economic Times and the Times of India. Similarly, a lot of the other apps, I believe, will take up a lot more of an evolved role. I don't think WhatsApp is going to be the dark social anymore. It's going to probably evolve itself to be some kind of an RSS feed where you do land up getting authentic news feeds. Telegram is the other one, and I'm a recent joinee on Telegram, and I find it fascinating to see the number of people on that channel and the kind of news that is actually coming and vetted there. So all of this indirectly and directly intends itself into the consumer behavior change. The fact that the pandemic has given us, like I said, time to retrospect as consumers, see how we want to change our daily routines, definitely results in also seeing the way the media is going to be consumed and the way the content needs to be fed to these consumers.
Sure, thanks, Vaishnavi. That was very detailed and insightful. But taking cue from what you said, I will move on to from regional consumer to regional language publications or regional media now. And I would want to start with you, Ritvik. You have a great blend of working experience working on both sides of the table, PR agency as well as Corpcom. So we all know the media industry has been going through a very rough patch since February, March this year. Every day we wake up and we see news like editions shutting down, people being expelled and whatnot, they've been having a hard time to keep both ends meeting. Uh, how do you feel what future holds for regional publications or regional editions or local editions of the mainline publications in the country now as well as in the future?
Sure. Well, thank you for that. I think the question lies in the future, and it's not a question of regional versus mainland. It's more of newspapers versus digital. So just to throw some stats at you, there are 2 lakh Indians that go online every day. And people below the age of 35, 56% of them identify online as their main source of information, and more than 70% of them think that newspaper is now for the older generation. So that really kind of makes you ask the question that is it really about mainline or regional, or is it about print versus digital? So in order for them to still stay relevant in this current scenario, COVID aside, it is very important for them to kind of digitally transform themselves. I'll give you an example as well. So Jagran, the biggest Hindi newspaper, has 4 million subscriptions, but over 25 million subscriptions on Jagran.com.
Yeah.
Those numbers in itself speak a lot. So if I think if I want to know what is the, or if I want to communicate what is the future of a regional publication, it has to be online. They need to go online, and it is, we as brands also need to support them in any way as possible. And when you were talking about, a lot of publications shutting down, it then asks the question, where are these journalists going to go? Because I am of the firm believer that journalism is what upholds democracy. And these individuals will eventually either go to online publications or portals, or will start something of their own influencer channel on a YouTube or something on those lines. So it's just a matter of time whether these publications will unfortunately have to shut down because of the lack of advertisement by brands, or they will eventually transform into a digital wing, which will cover all the, the viewers that they have right now in print into digital viewers.
Sure, Ritvik, it's a mixed bag of positive and negative views from your end.
Yes, I would also like to, add one more thing, that it is very important for, regional publications, because let me just give you a data that we did last year. So 62% of online reviewers were influenced whenever they saw an ad. And when this was in their regional language, it increased to 78%. And similarly, there was a 32% increase in influence when it's a newspaper ad in a national paper, which increased to 58% when it was in a local or regional paper. So obviously, there's no question about it. We do need them, but whether in a print format or digital format, only time will tell.
Great. Rahul, this reminds me of a conversation I was having with the head of an agency, and would want your thoughts here. She was telling me that in tier 3 and tier 4 towns, and I somehow relate to the sentiment, when a newspaper enters a house, it is a matter of pride for those people. So if they are subscribing to a newspaper, it in a way leads to saying that we are educated, we are in the know-how of what is happening. And in a way, I want to tell my neighbor, tell my neighborhood that I am a little more learned than what you are if I subscribe to the physical copy of the newspaper. Especially, I'm talking about the tier 4, tier 5 villages. Do you think this is the sentiment still, or do you think what Ritvik is saying makes more sense in the new normal?
So that was the norm probably before March. But once this lockdown started and the print newspaper was out of circulation, uh, I think the entire consumption has shifted towards, or most of the consumption has shifted towards digital. And I would like to agree with Ritik on that. Digital is going to be the future, and be it regional, be it English, be it mainstream, anything that you talk about, digital is the future. And the earlier the media houses realize that, the better is it that is for them. Second is, and this is one supporting fact that I would like to present in support of Ritvik's statement that the digital consumption or the digital news consumption is growing. So this is something, a similar pattern we actually seen on ShareChat as well. Post lockdown, what we have seen is within 2 to 3 weeks of the lockdown, we have seen an increase of about 3 to 4 times of news consumption. So 300 to 400% of increase in the news consumption on ShareChat itself. So yeah, so that is something that decides, that is going to be a deciding factor in the future for these publication houses. And digital, they have to go digital. If they are delaying on that, probably that's a loss for them.
Sure, Rahul. Understood. Shivalika, would you have a contrasting view, or do you agree with both Ritvik and Rahul here?
So I think I agree. There's I share the sentiment that it is a battle between print vis-a-vis digital. It's not something which is mainlines versus regional. And but I also have a view that the relatability is very, very important. And today, if you were talking about regional media as a as in fallows, then definitely it's going to revive. Print has been hit hard, no doubt about that. The fact that even the government said that coronavirus cannot be transmitted through newspapers haven't convinced many. People are being cautious. But having said that, the fact is that you have got a Dainik Jagran, and the fact people go on the e-paper, and it obviously talks about that a person wants to read news in the way he or she is comfortable with, can relate in, and I think it's a matter of understanding where is your consumer, where is your reader consuming content, how is he or she consuming content, and more importantly, yes, digitization, no doubt about that. But at the same time, maybe I'm a firm believer that it's years and years and years of habit, which is in us, and somebody who reads books, the feel of the paper, is much more than just reading something online. But at the same time, it has to be a balance. I mean, we cannot go back to what we were from a regional media perspective of having that physical copy in hand. But yes, to the fact that if they do digitize, which they really need to, then they have the readers out there. I mean, they're not going to lose out on them for sure.
Sure. Vaishnavi,
I knew someone's going to give the book and Kindle's example.
I didn't say Kindle. I didn't say Kindle. I just said book.
Just take your views before I move on to the next question. What happens to my newspaper with my cup of tea or my Pepsi can?
Sorry, you asked me?
No, Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi.
Yeah, so actually, Mukesh, compared to what we've just kind of spoken about, I have a parallel view, not necessarily contrasting, because I do believe that a lot of the regional publications are already online and already digital, right? It's not a case of them following what the main lines did. In fact, in some cases, they're a lot more evolved, if I were to say, and leaving the Dainiks of the world aside who have the might as they do, if you take a small publication in its own might like Sakal, right, they have a dedicated team of content curators who are sitting and looking at daily trends that either they purchase from Google, ShareChat, or a couple of other search engine apps, where they're able to then customize their content for their readers online. They have made those investments already. They're already on that stride of being in the phase two. So necessarily that contrast of main lines are a little bit more evolved and digitized, regional not so yet, perhaps is not the view that I have. But on the other hand, what I do feel is, given that they are already in phase two, the challenge that they will face is if they have to go to the next phase, which is not syndicating content from what print had, but actually generating original content and posting it on their sites. It requires talent, which currently probably the regional media does not have, right? Which means upskilling your existing journalist lots to be a little bit more technical, to have web developers as a part of editorial teams. That is perhaps an investment that they will have to look into. I would not put it, in fact, past regional media to have a mix of a behind the paywall kind of subscription kind of news information distribution, and the one that is free for Janta, which a lot of the main lines have done, right? So that's a way forward as well for a lot of them.
Sure, Vaishnavi. I can see one question from Mr. Asim Sood from Impact Research and Measurement. This goes for you, Shivalika. Though you have briefly touched upon this, but he says beyond metros, do you think print medium or the newspapers are still more important than online or social? Though we understand the future is going to be digital or social, but right now, do you think print takes precedence over online in the current scenario or not?
So in the current scenario, and I'm just going to give this response more from a communications perspective, yes, it does. Today, also, when we are actually looking at a communication mix, print media from a regional standpoint definitely has its own importance, and we truly believe that getting that message out in the Dainik Jagran or a Rajasthan Patrika is equally important as what you would have as front page of an Economic Times. So, and that only comes from the belief that, today, that just going back to the fact that relatability is very important, and we feel that the consumer relates that kind of message in that regional publication, which comes to his house, maybe not anymore, but surely, in times to come, and he or she would be reading online. So definitely it has its own importance right now in the current situation as well.
Great, thank you. Asim, I hope this answers your question. Now that we are talking about print and digital, I would want to take this conversation ahead about the digital influencers. If we see in the past 5 years, we've witnessed social media influencers have taken a large space of our communication campaigns. So deliberating a little more on this, more and more people in regional media are also focusing and probably trying to acquire that influencer tag. Do you think they are being the new channel of communication now, especially in the new normal? And while you answer this, could you also please throw some light on the importance of social media influencers that has been for your communication channels or communication campaigns, specifically when we talk of regional media? Allow me please to start this with Vaishnavi. Considering Flipkart is as hyperlocal as it gets, and the number of celebrity associations I've seen Flipkart engaging in is tremendous. Vaishnavi, to you.
Absolutely. Yes, Mukesh. So I think for us at Flipkart, it's always been, like I said earlier, to kind of bridge the gap between India and Bharat, right? So whether it's marketing or traditional communication modes that we have, we believe in having that mix. So whether it's Mr. Bachchan on one side or having Dulquer Salman on the other side, the regional or the vernacular piece is extremely at the core of our function. And a lot of our consumers, rather 80 to 90% are from tier 2 and tier 3. And having to cater to them, there was this research recently that a lot of us are familiar with. We truly believe that the peer-to-peer kind of recommendation when it comes to any kind of behavior or purchase decisions that needs to be made is very, very effective. And for that, if you do not go vernacular, if you do not go regional, and I'm making a very conscious differentiation here between vernacular and regional. It's okay for me to speak in English and be from Chennai, but it's very different when I'm from Chennai, I'm speaking in Tamil. It's completely, the value of it is very different, right? And for us at Flipkart, that nuance matters. It completely matters, especially on social media and even on PR, our traditional PR. Our approach has been like most of us in comms earlier in a couple of years back, we probably did was translations, right? And what we do now and industry jargon, if I may use, is transcreation. So today I very specifically look at a Sakal Times, look at a Maharashtra Times, look at a Dinatandi, look at a Rajasthan Patrika, and see the kind of headlines they might want, see the kind of content they might want, and create those unique pieces for them. It's not about taking that one press release and translating that into 8, 9 languages and then disseminating it. And then it's using this unique content, like you said, Mukesh, on social media with the right kind of vernacular influencer to seed your message. Because the reach of that, even if it's just 1,000 followers or a catchy 500 followers, the impact and the leave behind thought is much, much more effective.
Very valid, Vaishnavi. Rahul, because you are operating in this domain, so your inputs will be most welcome here. Do you agree with what Vaishnavi said, or do you feel that there is a long way to go for regional influences?
So I think that's the future. Again, like I'll completely agree with the fact that the decision making process has been shifting from only media to media plus influencers. So this influencers can be offline influencers, this influencers can be online influencers, this media can be this influencers can be on social media, this influencers can be on YouTube doing videos. So there are multiple aspect to this influencer definition. So I'll not get like deep dive into this, but what I feel that the regional influencers in a very hyper local way, or a regional hyper local community, the kind of influence they can create on a buying decision or on a brand recall decision or brand recall process, I think that is something which is unique because of this internet evolution of internet in the in the regional India. And also what I believe, this will grow from where we are right now, considering the kind of growth that we are expecting out of the tier 2 and further markets.
Sure, Rahul, very valid. Ritvik, would you want to say anything? I believe majority of the majority of the sales that Vivo India also gets is from tier 2 and tier 3 towns and beyond. Do you also have a lot of regional influences in your communication campaigns?
Yes, so let me just start off again with certain stats. So more than 60% of the overall smartphone market offline comes from non-metro cities.
Yeah.
70% Indians find local language digital content more reliable. 95% of all YouTube content in India is Hindi. And the world's biggest tech YouTuber creates content in Hindi. So that speaks a lot about the regional content that we have. And I completely agree with what Vaishnavi said, because if I am communicated in a language which I am comfortable with, I am more reciprocative and I am more open to that message. And having said that, 88% Indian language internet users say that they will prefer to buy a product which is communicated with them in their own language. So yes, there is huge, advantage of associating with local and regional influencers, and we do that a lot with certain platforms, including YouTube, ShareChat, Instagram as well. We are able to reach a wider audience, get a more targeted approach. And because these guys are right now not at the stage that they can be called national influencers, they are very adaptive to the content that we want to leverage them for. And because of this, there is much better ROI. So we are really happy and we love associating with the regional guys. And it has to be like Vaishnavi said, it can't be just a translation of your national campaign. It has to be local and adapted to that specific region. And that's where that local influencers might and credibility and also their insight comes into play.
Sure.
So yes, we use them a lot.
Yeah, I can see a question here from Mr. Sujit Patil from Godrej, and I would want you to take a dip here. He says, do you see a new crop of local influencers emerging in regional markets, which you have answered? But do you think, basis your experience, which do you think is more effective, a local influencer or a pan-India known celeb influencer?
So it has to be kind of a mix. And like Vaishnavi said, they use the likes of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and also regional influencers to reach out. So, and we do the same. We have Amir Khan as our brand ambassador, but however, if we are launching a particular product in Chennai, we will call a local influencer / celebrity to be part of that launch event. So by associating with a known celebrity, you get that national appeal. But in order to get that more narrow approach and reach out to that targeted consumer group, you would need local influencers. So I would say that it needs to be a mix of both.
Sure. Shivalika, would you want to take a view here? What is your view, regional influencers or the pan-India based well-known influencers?
So, like you mentioned, Mukesh, social media influencers. Now, that is not something that's just kind of arisen right now. It was pre-pandemic, so as to say. And I think that's a very, very important mix for any brand today in the marketing mix per se. And same is it for PepsiCo India as well. The fact is it needs to be a balanced mix because like you would have seen in our campaigns as well, we're using somebody, when we say a national influencer, the national, why is he or she a national influencer? Because that message is actually going to the grassroots as well, right? So I don't see the differentiation in that sense. I think this is more of a jargon where we're basically talking about, the reach and everything, and therefore the regional influencers and the national influencers, etc., and the mass appeal, of course. But having said that, it is very important that we also reach out to these regional influencers because today relatability, trust is very, very important. They understand the nuances of the consumer sitting there in a regional city, right? It's as basic as saying Sat Sri Akal in Punjab and Vanakkam in Chennai. It makes a lot of difference, right? So I think it's just about that. And I'll just give you an example. Lays is running a campaign called Heartwork. It's a very beautiful track, and we're using a lot of influencers there to talk about and thank people who are out, the unsung heroes, the farmers, the distributors, retailers, shopkeepers, what they're doing right now. And we actually picked up an influencer, Jessie Gill, a well-known singer in Punjab, right? We definitely had Neha Kakkar and everything, took all national influencers, but we also took him. And the reason was why? Because his father himself is a farmer. So just imagine the kind of relatability that he brings, the kind of trust people would have when he's giving out this message where he's saying my father himself was a farmer and he's actually seen his life. So I think that is what the regional influencers bring. The regional influencers really bring that that vibe, that relatability. Again, I'm using that word again and again, but that's really important for us today to connect with the end consumer. So yes, they have a big part to play, but in the brand mix, I think it needs to be a well balanced base. You need a mass appeal to ensure that your message goes far and wide, but at the same time, you connect beautifully with the end consumer. That's very important.
Hey, thanks, Shivalika.
If I may just add one point to what Ritvik and Shivalika said, and to Sudhit's question, I don't think we can negate the fact today that a regional influencer actually has a national reach, right? It would be very narrow of us as communicators to think that certain regional influencers would limit their reach only to a certain region that they belong to. We've seen and both Vivo and PepsiCo are brands that equally use influencers, and we know this that you could pick, like Shivalika said, a very, very relatable story that could have ripples nationally, because a farmer in Tamil Nadu could relate to a farmer in UP as well. So the spread of a regional influencer should not be negated to just being to his locality, I would say.
Completely agree.
Adding to that, and I've seen this a lot in YouTube, that national influencers are now becoming regional as well. So they will create content in English and also have it in Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and all that. And to our surprise, they receive more views and more comments on the regional content compared to the national content.
Sure, Ritvik. Thank you so much for the inputs, and thank you, Sujit, for a great question. Before I move on to the last question that I have, there is a question for Rahul from Anup Sharma from PRCAI. He says, the internet penetration, how has it impacted the regional language communication? Do you think with more and more people being able to access internet right now, the importance of regional communication or regional languages has increased or decreased?
It has increased. Definitely, it has increased. And if you go by the data, about 90% of the internet audience that we have today, and which is also going to come as a first time internet user in the future course of time, about 90% of them are going to be from the non-English background. Now, regional piece has always been an essential in the internet driven communication, but due to lack of options available in this space, people were forced to get into the standard consumption of content. Now, with options available for them, with alternatives being in place, they can they can pick and choose, and that's how the importance of regional content has become multifold.
Sure, Sure, Rahul. Completely understand.
Did
Shivalika,
I
one
answer your question?
yes, Rahul. We could. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shivalika, one last question we would take. Rather, I'll just try and club these couple of questions. There is a question from Neha Gaur, and she says, do you think influencers to be the core for promoting brands and target audience in near future for the PR industry? And there is another question by Anisha Gopinath. She says, how should we manage the hashtags of for regional audiences? And do you think once we have separate hashtags for separate languages, it impacts somehow the evaluation of your campaign?
Okay. So, just to answer the first question first, I think, you know, influencers cannot be the core. Your message needs to be the core. What you want to say, what you want to bring, your USP, that needs to be the core. And I think influencers are great, channel of communication today, like we were talking about, and so as others in the marketing mix. So I think that the message, the USP, or what you want to say, is the hero in terms of communication. From a hashtag perspective, again, a lot in terms of conversations around measurement. If I were to put together, and you'll need a separate session for that, I'm sure. But I think from a hash, yeah, and we've all been struggling with that, with that question since many years. But just to give you an answer from a hashtag perspective, I think it's just that what we believe, and I can talk from my experience itself, is that your message, your core purpose, your call to action is actually your hashtag. And that really needs to be common. You can't break it down. Again, from one language to another, it doesn't matter. The essence is the same, right? The message is the same. So I'm just going back again to my first response, which kind of links to the second one, that what's your core message? And that is something that you need to take. And that needs to be very simple. Because if you need to change it, even in terms of language, then there's a problem somewhere. Right? It needs to be understood really well, and it really needs to do the purpose of explaining what you really want to say. So yeah, that's how I would look at it.
Sure. I will just ask one last question before we open the floor for question answers. I can see a lot of them we have still not answered, and the clock is ticking. I would want to start this one with Shivalika, and I will tell you why. This is about the most important topic of today, which I believe is regional languages. So when we see regional languages, how important are they in your communication strategy? And do you feel that they help you engage better with regional consumers? And the why for starting with Shivalika is the first ever campaign that I remember, which was splashed in regional languages across social media, was Pepsi Phi Pee Gaya campaign in 2015. And it somehow started jitters across the communication industry, and everybody started following the suit. So, Shivalika, to you, regional languages, how important and relevant for your communication campaigns and overall?
So I think they're very important, to simply put, very important and integral part of the marketing mix and communication mix as well. Again, I'm not just going to limit regional language to the fact that we're looking at regional media per se, because I think we've spoken about that. Regional language means, again, having a connect. We've all heard this line, learned this line, that India is a diverse country, right? And the fact is that I'll just go back. If I'm talking to somebody in Punjab, in Punjabi, imagine the kind of connect that I'm going to make. Imagine the kind of way I'm going to be able to relate to that person or give out my message. So again, from a language perspective, it's very important, not just from a communication standpoint, but also from a marketing standpoint. One is, of course, that regional media is very important. And that's why it's very important for us to reach out through that medium to our consumers, not only just by doing a press release like Vaishnavi said, but also ensuring what kind of stories that we can bring, what kind of real life stories that we can bring also. The other thing is also in terms of communicating through, through a product or through a service. So today, if you're looking at brands, they'll have local labeling. We are looking at advertisement, and I know that Pepsi will run its advertisement in Calcutta in Bengali and in Punjab in Punjabi, etc. So again, it is just not about saying that one press release goes and you've got your message in a newspaper. Not at all. So again, it just means about connecting and giving your message simply in the way a person understands and feels comfortable in. And today, we all feel very comfortable in the language that we talk. right? And I think therefore regional language is very, very important. And I'm not going to go to stats because again, if I start going there, then of course that's like giving proof points. We know how they are picking up, how regional papers and publications etc. are picking up. So that's something that I'm not going to get into.
Sure, Shivalika. Vaishnavi, any views on this regional
Oh,
language?
absolutely. So for us, like I said, for us, catering to Bharat is very, very critical and a huge focus. In fact, our comms programs, whether marketing or PR led or social led, 50 to 60%, and in some cases even 80% is focused on vernacular to that extent. And this is surely because we look at a stakeholder universe that is not limited only to our consumers. No doubt they're a critical part of us, but being a marketplace that we are, our sellers are equally important that bridge the gap for us. And to reach that MSMEs community, to reach that community that is as regional and vocal about the work that they do, it is very, very critical for us to be having that focus on regional and vernacular media. And having said that, like Shivalika pointed out, even at a product and a business level, it's very critical, right? It's not enough for us as comms teams and comms professionals to run campaigns in vernacular and regional when your brand does not have a personality that is Bharat first, right? So for us at Flipkart, that's been an advantage. We've done a couple of those things that actually relate to the vernacular lot that we have or the vernacular consumers, be it the launch of 5 new languages that we did last week, beyond Hindi that was launched last year. Our Flipkart videos, for example, is completely focused only on vernacular content or English content because there is an audience for that as well. And we have something as exciting as Flipkart Ideas, which works like Insta Feeds, but it's completely vernacular and regional. From the insights that it gathers to the recommendations that it throws out, it's completely nuanced to that level. So it's very important for us that what the business speaks and has a personality in Bharat, comms kind of replicates that. So yes, regional and vernacular, a very, very integral part of what we do in communications at Flipkart.
Great. Thank you, Vaishnavi. Rahul, I can spot a question and I will pose it to you. This is in regards to the conversation we are having. The question is from Mr. Nikhil Chavla. He says, though this question was for Ritvik, but I'm throwing it at you. It says, was it easier to reach people beyond metros through apps like TikTok? And how do you plan to fill in the gap? Do you think players like ShareChat have the opportunity for all the brands to fill this gap that TikTok has created with the Chinese ban?
So we have already seen a surge in terms of downloads. Last couple of days, like today till today morning, we have taken a load of the things, and what we could find out that in the last 36 hours since the development has happened, we have got about 15 million downloads with 500,000 downloads happening every hour. So that's the kind of tech capabilities we have built, and it is not a one day run or a short term run. This is a long journey, and the social media space, the regional social media space that has been evolving, this has not even evolved, that I would say that this is in the evolving process and there is a long way to cover. So we and this process was actually started when the entire concept was put in place way back in 2014 by ShareChat. So then the journey started, the market started evolving, the market started maturing, and now the entire brands have also started realizing the strength of this kind of platforms. Now that was not happening 2 years back. It's basically brands have started, and if you look at the advertising mix of any brand, uh, in the digital marketing spend, probably the regional social media space is still has a lot to cover in terms of getting a decent size of the digital marketing budget. But having said that, I think this is going to be the future. The regional social media platforms are doing a lot in terms of creating that influence and motivation in buying behavior, creating a lot of conversation in informing an opinion about a brand creating certain brand recalls on the in the digital space. So yeah, that's going to be the future, and I think the brands are also realizing the effects of digital social media platforms.
Sure, Rahul. Ritvik, over to you. Before I start taking the questions, any views on regional languages and how they impact?
Yes, I agree with everything that my co-panelists have said, and I would just end it with one sentence. Regional language communication has the same effect that a North Indian will have when he hears the word "Bhai Sahab sunte ho" when he's traveling in London. So it is the comfort level, it is the openness that you receive from those regional non-metro consumers that really help you get that message across. And like I said, all the panelists have said what I wanted to say. So yeah.
Great, Ritvik. So I will take on the questions now. Ritvik, if you would only want to answer this one, since you've just talked about this, Mr. Prateek Sharma, he says, do you think that communication beyond metros became a reality or an important parameter of communication campaigns long time back, but it is just now that we have started realizing the importance of it?
Um, I would say that it's become important ever since the geo entering the telecom space, because now people do have access to the internet, and we have subscriber base which is increases on day, and newspaper and consumption of news is happening at a phenomenal rate. So it originally it was just the print media, so whatever national campaigns were being done, they were uh, kind of reciprocated in those regional publications per se. But now brands are really focusing towards getting that next 500 million, because there is a saturation level that has been achieved in metros, and now everyone is now looking at non-metros as the next potential market for growth. I would say that in the past 5 years, I have seen this growth happening.
Sure. Thanks, Ritvik. I will take another question. It is from Mr. Ashish Sahu. And Vaishnavi, if you could answer this, please, because you spoke very strongly about regional publications having to go digital. He says, do you think, though all the panelists are emphasizing on publication should be transforming into digital medium, but do you think tier 2, 3, 4 mediums or the tier 2, 3 regions of our country are even equipped and ready to imbibe that change?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you're talking from a consumer point of view, and like Ritvik shared some data, today, given whatever a particular telecom company has done, or with the advent of having made smartphones as accessible and as valued asset for everyone, the consumption is not limited in that sense, right? Today it's about making sure that in my favorites window of apps, do I have the right apps, and within that, what is the mix of a regional publication versus a mainline publication. And today our apps giving me, for example, the opportunity to go multilingual in one particular window, right? Let me take the example of InShots. It's snackable, but it's in English. There is no stopping from InShots becoming or having 15 other languages like ShareChat today has, right? Today, a Dainik Bhaskar and a Dainik Jagran's apps automatically give you options for different editions, which is regional, but at the same time vernacular. They give you the option to go English at the same time. So this is all happening not because it's a management sitting and deciding there, or the board saying ki, yeah, let's go digital, everyone is going digital. It's because consumers actually want that, right? And there is that appetite. The question is how we as brands, or how individual media houses as brands are able to get it across to their consumers.
Sure. Thank you, Vaishnavi, for valuable inputs. Another question is from Vivian, and I kind of understand where is he coming from. He says, what is the approximate number of consumers who are comfortable with English in tier 2 and tier 3 towns? So Vivian, just to give you a fact, amongst the top 10 publications that we have in India, only Times of India makes the cut. Rest all in terms of circulation are regional publications. Only 9% or little less than 9% of people are comfortable speaking in English in our country. So taking these facts forward, Rahul, would you want to emphasize on this? Why is there English ka bolbala, if I may say so, in the communication industry, despite it being very minuscule in terms of circulation?
So you have to understand what a certain brand would like to achieve through certain set of medium. So be it an English newspaper, or be it a Hindi newspaper, be it a Hindu newspaper, or be it any other regional language newspaper. So you have to understand first that if the brand is trying to convey a message to its set of investor, or to a set of people or bureaucrats who are actually sitting in certain ministry, and then you select the newspapers, probably that is not Times of India, probably that can be a Hindu. Similarly, you go, decide on the fact that why the regional publication is important. Now, a Rajasthan Patrika or an Amar Ujala, if the chief minister of a particular state reads that newspaper, and if you have that kind of knowledge, probably you would like to hit Rajasthan Patrika or Amar Ujala rather than going into a Times of India in that particular state, if you intend to target the state government. So I believe that you have to understand the purpose behind the communication before you decide the medium. It can be traditional, it can be digital, it can be a social media as well. So first you understand who is the target audience for that communication, and then decide the medium when to reject it.
Sure, Rahul, very valid. I think very well put. Shivalika, another question to you, and it comes from Mr. Shashank Kaushik. I think it's some kind of a rant, so it's a very complex question, but I'll still try and somehow make sense of what it is. He says in these COVID times, news consumption is increasing. Everybody is sitting in front of their TVs or reading news on applications or papers, but still, journals are losing their jobs. Brands are cutting down the retainer for PR agencies. Advertising is being withheld both by private and government players. Don't you think it is a bit unfair that communication has tripled and has become a necessity, yet professionals, including media and journals, are taking a bad hit?
Okay, yes, it is a complex question, I must say, and I'll try to answer it in whatever way I can. I think everybody is hit. These are unprecedented times. Nobody thought that this is going to hit us. And yes, I would say that every crisis is also an opportunity. And you're right, that dependency on communication is definitely increased manifold, right? Be it at corporates, be it at, with agencies, be it from a news perspective. And today, whatever information that we feel is reliable is actually the newspapers or the TV, where we basically want to consume content from and believe in, right? But having said that, I think there's a different mix to it. It's while dependency has increased, it's also the fact that economy has been hit, right? So when you're talking about retainers or when you're talking about something else, it's a vicious cycle. It is not dependent on just on the fact that today everybody must be working. I'm sure everybody here in this in this session and otherwise his audience is going to be talking about that how we're working X hours extra as well, right? But at the same time, it's also the fact that businesses are hit, industries have been hit, and it's just one aspect. And I think to me, it would be to take this as an opportunity where the learning curve is much higher than what it was. And secondly, the fact that communication has a big role to play, that is something that we should kind of appreciate at this point in time.
Oh, and just to add to what you said, Shivalika, and this goes for you, Shashank, I think, and I heard this in one of the Reputation Today panels only, brands are going through a much bigger crisis right now in terms of revenue vis-a-vis media industry or the communication industry. So probably it is the time for us to stand by and let this pass. And I'm very sure things will get back to normal, and we will sure be talking about the hike in retainer prices rather than the cuts very soon. Though I understand that it has already hit 7 and Anubhuti is messaging me to wrap this up, but I throw it open 1 minute each to all of you just to capture what you think holds for it, as in what is the future of regional communication in India in the new normal. If you could sum that up, sum up your thoughts in 1 minute, please. Starting with Rahul. Yeah.
So regional communication, so it has already shifted, or it is shifting from traditional to digital. The future that I'm looking at is right from traditional to digital plus traditional plus social. So that is the way I am looking at the future of regional communication.
Sure. Thanks, Rahul. Shivalika, would you want to?
Yes, I'll just simply say that if you want to make a connect, want to put your message out there, and you want to be very clear and concise, then regional is it's very important, and therefore we just can't miss it. So we need to ensure that we are it's given its due importance times to come.
Great. Thanks, Shivalika. Ritvik, over to you.
Digital transformation. Like Rahul said, go digital, be easy to share and easy to consume. So if InShots has to go to regional languages, I think this is the time for them to do so right now.
Great. Vaishnavi, your views.
My views, vernacular is here to stay, here to grow, here to evolve. It is going to be a critical part of every comms program, no doubt about it. And the crux of the matter, I think, is that as communicators, we are no longer looking at vernacular to increase the number of clips we get on our brand, but it's about making sure that the right stories reach the right audience, and they have truly been the vocal voice for local. So I think that will continue to stay.
Great. It's a great way to end with this line. Vocal has to be local. Anubhuti, I request you to please be back. And I really enjoyed this conversation with all the panelists, and hope you guys did too. Thank you for everybody who participated, all the participants who were viewing this chat. Anubhuti, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mukesh.
Thank you, Mukesh, for this fabulous discussion. What better way to celebrate your 10th anniversary than with so much of learning and knowledge sharing? I thank our panelists, Rahul, Ritvik, Shivalika, and Vaishnavi for their time and their insights today. Thank you to all our attendees for taking the time out this evening. In case you wish to revisit the session or share it with friends or colleagues, a recording of this will be available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly Reputation Today on YT. We will be back next month on 5th of August with the next edition of Regional Prime Time. Next week on Wednesday at 6 p.m., join us for the Innovation First Online Salon, where panelists will delve deeper into the B2B aspect of innovation during and post the pandemic and lockdown situation. Follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at RepTodayMag for updates on all our upcoming offerings. And if you are an in-house communicator, don't forget to check out bit.ly ABC Prize 2020. See you soon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and congratulations, Mukesh, again.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Congrats, Mukesh.
Celebrate, Mukesh. Congratulations.
Bye.